Very good morning everyone. Myself Bharti, Assistant Professor, Department of CSE, Sri Siddhartha Institute of Technology under Sahai University. So today we discuss regarding about the very important concept that is an agile software development and its framework. So in that we discuss regarding about the software development life cycle, agile software development, agile principles, types of popular agile frameworks, the Scrum, its application and advantage. So in that, the first we discuss regarding about the software development life cycle. Let's see the first thing, what is software. Software is nothing but it's a collection of programs, it's a set of instructions along with documentation in order to complete and given achieve the goal. The thing is to achieve the objective. For that reason, we have some software development life cycle. The ultimate is to deliver quality software. So the software development life cycle. So software development life cycle, being a developer, his job is to develop quality of software. He always focus on the quality, not for the quantity. Along with that, he has to satisfy the customer needs or customer constraints, what exactly they want. That is the job of being the developer. So for that reason, we have so many software processing models were there, like the traditional waterfall models, incremental or iterative model, reuse oriented process model. So first see, we discuss about the traditional model or linear model. So what are the phases which were involved in the traditional like waterfall model? Let's see. This is a phases which were involved in the development of software development. So the first phase is about the requirement, the second is the design, the third is the development, the next is the testing, next the deployment, and the last is regarding the maintenance. So let's see one by one in detail. What is the first phase? The first phase is regarding about the requirement analysis. So in that, what we are going to do, if you want to develop any software, the first thing is to gather the requirements from the stakeholder. The thing is to define an objective, like we need to frame and aim what exactly he or she wants. So based on that, we have to gather the requirements from the stakeholder. So we have to frame an objective in a clear and concise and simple manner. So once the requirement is gathered, once we came to know what exactly I should do, then I go with the next phase, that is the design. So what happens in the design phase? In the design phase, it tells you about the structure of the system. Like the architecture of the system has to be built. In that, we are going to identify the relationship among the components. Once the design is over, then we move on to that, the development. So in the development phase, we are going to design the quality of code by using proper programming languages, using some sequential models, using some data flow diagrams. By using proper programming language, we are going to build a quality of code in the development. Once the development phase is over, you got one quality of code. That code we are going to be put it for testing. So in the testing, we have different types of testing like unit testing, integration testing, and system testing. First, let's see what is unit testing. So unit testing is also called component testing. The thing is, individual components we are going to be test whether it is working properly or not. Once the component testing is over, then we move on to that integration test. Integration testing is nothing but all the individual components are combined together, like merging together. We are going to be test whether it is working properly or not. Once the integration is over, then we move on to that system testing. When we say it is a system, when the system is complete, when the system has whole, when we say it is a final complete system, that system we are going to be put it for testing whether it is working properly or not. So that is what we call a testing. Again, we in the testing, we have two types of testing. One is the alpha testing, another one is that beta testing. What happens in the alpha testing? We focus on 1:1, like one customer, one developer we focus. But when we talking about the beta testing, in the beta testing we concentrate about n number of potential customers. That is called in the beta testing. So once the testing is over, we move on to that deploying. The deploying is nothing but we are going to deliver one final complete workable system, workable software we are going to deliver to the market. So this is what the deploying. So in the maintenance and deploying is one of the longest life cycle phase in the waterfall model. So in the waterfall model is a traditional model. The major advantage of this waterfall model is simple and easy to understand. And each and every phase we are going to generate a documents. That documents is helps for the developers for the reference. But the major drawback of this waterfall model is that the requirements are defined in the early stage itself. The thing is that the requirements are freezed. You can't do any changes in between the development. To overcome that problem, we go with another important process model, that is an incremental or iterative model we call an agile software development. So this is what an agile software development. So in this agile, we talking about an increments. The thing is that we are not to deliver final system to be delivered to the market. The thing is that the task is going to be divided in the form of increments. So here the main beauty of agile software development is that rapidly and quickly we are going to deliver a software to the market. Rapidly we are taking feedback from the customer and do the changes whatever they want ultimately to satisfy the customer needs. That is called an agile software development. In that agile software developments, we have the major agile principles like the customer satisfaction, because I always want to satisfy the customer's need, what exactly they want, and also I want to keep the customers happy. Second, welcome change, because it's a changing world, it's a competitive world. Always we have to cope up the changes, whatever is happening in the environment. Also, we are happily accept the changes from the customer, what exactly they want. Next, we are talking about the frequent delivery, because we are talking about in the form of increments, like the small increments we are going to be developed and that will be delivered to the market. Next, we are talking about the collaboration. So collaboration is nothing but we are going to communicate with the stakeholders and talking about the developer. So next we move on to that, the face-to-face conversation and working software. These are some of the principles of Agile. So next we move on to that, very popular Agile frameworks like the Kanban, Scrum and Lean software development and extreme programming. These are the major Agile frameworks were used in the IT industry. In today's session, we discuss about the very important Agile frameworks is something like the Scrum. So the Scrum is one of an Agile framework. In that Scrum, the task is going to be broken down into an increments. So that we call as sprints. Sprints are nothing but tasks. For each task, we are going to given some time boxing. The thing is that we are going to be assigned something like 1 to 4 weeks. 1 to 4 weeks for each task we need to complete within the assigned deadline. So in that we have an agile ceremonics. In that scrum framework, we are identifying something like the product backlog. So what is product backlog? So product backlogs are nothing but list of the pending request will be there in the product backlog. So in the development, what developer is going to do is going to pick which is having the highest priority request, highest priority task, that will be picked for the execution, and that sprint will be taken for the planning, and that will be assigning 1 to 4 weeks to complete that sprint. Suppose if the sprint is not completed within the assigned deadline, then we are going to call a daily scrum. So in that daily scrum is nothing but daily meetings, like stand-up meetings, like 15 minutes we are going to conduct the meetings. In that all the peoples were gathered together, like including the scrum teams. In that we have a scrum masters, product owners and the stakeholders. All are sitting in the meeting room. They were discussing about why the task has not been completed within the allotted time. Maybe there is a miscommunication between the stakeholders, or there is a lack of requirements, or any problems which were arised in the development, that will be taken proper solution to the given problem in the scrums meeting. Then we go with the sprint reviews. Once the increment has been developed, we will make one inspections, like code inspections can be done, whether everything will be properly done or not, whether it meets the given requirements or not. That will be done in the sprint reviews. And the sprint retrospective, any further refinement we can do. Ultimately the thing is to satisfy the customer's need or customer's constraints. Then we are going to deliver increments to the market. This is what the agile ceremonics. So in that scrum, we have 3 important C's were there in the scrum. The first is card, second is conversation, and third is that confirmation. So what is card? So card are nothing but a simple user stories. User stories are nothing but we are going to gather the customer's requirements, customer needs, what exactly he or she wants. That will be specified in the card. Once you build the card, that card should be simple and easy to understand. Once the card has been built, then we go with a second conversation. So conversation is nothing but we actually made some communication between the developers and the stakeholders. Then the last is the confirmation. The thing is that after completing the task, we are going to confirm whether it satisfies the customer's needs or not, whether we are going to meet the business objectives or business goals or not. So these are the 3 scrums we have. Then we move on to that. The key applications of Agile, the very important, the first is that mobile application development. So because it's a competitive world, it's a changing world, the small changes we are doing in the development, in the mobile, it's playing a very important role, like in the startup projects, or in the legacy system modernizations, or in the SaaS and the web platforms. These are the main key areas where we were using an Agile. Next we move on to that, and advantages like adaptability, because whenever the changes comes, we are making some changes in the requirements. Adaptability is a very important advantage in the Agile software developments. Then faster time to market. Within the allotted time, we are going to deliver the quality of software to the market. Next, we move on to that customer collaboration. Both the developers and customers sitting together, communicate among each other to develop one quality of software. Then we move on to that reduced risk. So reduced risk, why means we are not talking about the final system to be developed, we are talking about in the form of increments, we are talking about in the form of small tasks to be delivered. So this is what we have discussed in the today's session. So this is what an agile software development playing a very important role in the development of the software. So thank you so much.